Welcome to this module with Chris Newton, founder of Marketing Help Online. Here's Chris.
If you do not know what it is that sets you apart in the marketplace, no one in the marketplace will ever have any reason to buy from you. If you don't know, if you can't articulate it. Somebody once said this is called the elevator speech. You get into an elevator or a lift on the first floor or ground floor with someone and they ask you, what do you do and why would I buy from your business? And if you can't answer it by the fourth floor, then you do not have a clarity of vision about why someone should buy from you. It's a really, really important question. I was asked by Fuji to go around Australia and help their mini labs, 1 hour mini labs, to position themselves in the marketplace. Because they weren't the cheapest and yet they're having real troubles positioning themselves correctly in the market. So I took on this challenge to talk to 300 of their retailers around Australia. And to do justice to that, as I would travel around Australia doing other seminars and so on, I'd call in on mini labs, I'd introduce myself to Fuji mini labs, the 1 hour processing places, and I'd go into Kodak ones and independent ones, and I learned a fair bit about the business. And it was about 2 weeks out from the first seminar, which was going to be in Brisbane, and I was driving back from the Gold Coast through the hinterland, and I saw a little mini lab, Fuji mini lab, and I thought, I'll go in and I'll just get one more little interaction going here. And in fact, I thought, well, while I'm here, I may as well get something controversial going, because I'd like something to really talk about in this seminar. So I walked in and asked to be introduced to the owner of the business, and they pointed me to this lady behind the counter. And I walked up to her and I said, hi, my name's Chris Newton from Results Corporation. And she said, oh, Chris Newton, you're doing a seminar for us, aren't you? I'm going to be there. I said, yeah, that's true. And I said to her, look, I was driving by and I just dropped in. I wondered whether I might make some comment about your business. And I could see her eyes going ding, 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 free consulting coming up here. And she said, yeah, look, please, criticize us as much as you like. Rip us apart. So I did. I looked this lady in the eye and I said, well, look, my first observation when I walked in the door today is that you're ripping people off. And she said, I beg your pardon? And I said, well, you're ripping people off. And she said, well, how can you possibly say that? I said, well, I can say it because I've just looked at your price list. You're charging $13.99 for a set of prints. And she said, well, so what? And I said, well, I've just been to the little pharmacy, 4 doors down the road. Same number of prints, $11.99. And she said, oh, no, 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 no. You don't understand. You see, we give better, what do you think she said? Service, quality, expertise. Service and quality are the 2 words she used. And I said to her, well, I don't know how to tell you this, but I've just been down to the pharmacy. Lovely people down there. And I asked them, why would I put my prints in with you? And they said, we give fantastic service and quality. So clearly, you are ripping people off. You ever had that feeling you're on thin ice? When her eyes narrowed on me and she took me, she said, I want you to come with me. And she didn't grab me, but she took me around the back. And she took me up to this big machine, it looked like 3 washing machines stuck together. You've all seen them. Big print processing machine. And she said, you see that? And she put a hand on it. She said, that's an $80,000 computer-controlled print processing machine you're looking at here. To which I replied, so, it's got one down the road. And she said, well, let me show you what we do with it here. She pulled up a stool. She took down a strip of negative film, colour, and she put it through this little window thing. And I looked in, and she said, you see that? And I said, well, I can't really make it out. It's not, it's in negative. And she said to me, well, that's my point. You see, down the road, they don't actually check every frame. They just put it like a sausage machine through, straight into the envelope off to the customer. We look at every frame. And I've been doing this for 5 years, and I've been intensively and extensively trained. And with my hundreds of thousands of frame experience, I can look at any frame and I can immediately tell whether or not it's going to be the right resolution. And she said, the machine is color calibrated, and if it's going to be too cool or too warm, in other words, too blue or too red, the machine is calibrated to fix it. And we send those calibrations away to the head office laboratory on a regular basis because that's our performance standard. She said, but if I believe with my experience that the calibrations can't compensate because there's some variance in this negative I'm looking at, I've got this keyboard. And she pulled it out and she said, I can actually override the machine. And she said, not only that, when the prints come out the other end, as I said, down the road, straight into the envelope, straight to the customer, when we do it, we check every single print. And if there's the slightest blemish, we'll rip up that print and redo it at our cost. And she said, not only that, she was on a roll now, not only that, but have you had prints fade on you, colour prints? And I said, as a matter of fact, I have. You know, it's really, really disappointing to have that happen. And she said, ours don't. We buy a premium print paper. It costs us 25% more for the paper, but your prints won't fade because we don't want our customers' memories to fade, which I thought was lovely. And she went on to tell me the story, and I'm smiling and beaming at her. I said, look, I've got to apologise to you. What I said before, I was really just stirring you up a little bit. I love what you've just told me. This is an incredible story. I can really see the value in this. Tell me, what do your customers say when you tell them what you just told me? And she looked at me like I just stepped off another planet. She said, what do you mean? We're told to do it this way by Fuji. We don't tell anybody. That's the way we've got to do it. Now, I'm going to ask you a deadly serious question. Fuji Hanimex probably spend, I don't know, $1 million a year on image advertising. And I don't knock them for that. If you've got $1 million for image advertising, go for it. But as a small business person in this room, I'm going to ask you an incredibly important question. When I just told you that story, which took about 2.5 minutes, please put your hand up if your perception of the value of what Fuji does in that mini lab, if the perception of value of what they provide has gone up. Please put your hand up. Okay. You have just answered your own question. You see, what you've just identified is I took a commodity which is all over the country, and with one simple little distinction story, I changed your perception. Do you know, in all the years I've been doing this, I never lose the passion of looking at businesses and look at the bursting potential that's being held back because businesses don't articulate their magic story. Do you know, sometimes we're so close to it we miss it. And I said to you that they had performance standards. And when they printed the prints and they came out, before they put them in the envelope, they checked them for a blemish. And if they found one that had a blemish on it, I said they did something with it, which was what, Kelly? Rip it up. Kelly, what do you think, based on the make the invisible visible formula, what should they have done with that print? Absolutely so. They should have kept it and shown it to me or shown it to the customer. In fact, I went a step further with them and I said, why don't you put a little sticker on that one that says, this print failed our standards, so we did it again at our cost, our commitment to you. I mean, what would that half-cent sticker say, not just about the print, but about the whole business? Tangible proof that we care, taking the invisible and making it visible. Everything else I'm going to tell you today rides on your ability to take this thing that you call your business and find what's extraordinary about it. And you know, the good news is, what's extraordinary might in fact even be ordinary, but you're the only people to say it. I know for a fact that other mini labs go through the same process that I described. But if Fuji says so and the others don't, Fuji has the advantage. If you can find things in your business that you're doing, and maybe your competitors are doing it too, but if you articulate it, dimensionalize it, paint the picture around it, create the value, you win. In fact, if you do it and your competitors don't, once you're out in the marketplace with this, you've got a preemptive advantage, what's called a preemptive unique selling proposition. A preemptive advantage. Because once you've said it and they don't, you know, they can copy you, but the marketplace will say, oh yeah, you know, they're doing it now because you showed them how. So understand, you don't have to be different. You merely have to dimensionalize and articulate what it is you do.